variables and the rest of them. I'm not the point for me to print is not showing. Is instead of it to be printing, is not. I'm not seeing the response. I'm just typing, but I'm not seeing the response from that. The down below the screen. I'm supposed to be seeing something that's printing, but it's not showing me that.
After typing, okay, after writing your code and you type Python, let me say, for example, the name of your file is class.py, and you type Python class.py. Did you click enter after typing Python class.py?
Python class.py. I didn't.
Okay, you did not click enter.
No.
I would like you to share your screen. Let me, is it possible? Can you share your screen? Let me guide you through. Let me be sure that everything is working properly as it should.
Okay.
Yes. Before we start this class, please, let's attend to that first.
Okay. So are you seeing the screen? Sir. Sir.
I can see your screen, don't worry. Go ahead.
Okay,
No,
now if I
Favor, can you hear me?
yes, I'm hearing.
I'm a bit confused. Why am I seeing okay? Okay. Give me a minute. Let me go through your terminal and see what's going on. Favor, type quit. Like
Quit.
QUIT, and then open and close parentheses. No, not there. In your terminal. Delete that stuff there. In your terminal.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. Clean it from your terminal. Remove it from your terminal. Good. Now type it. Sorry. Now type it in open and close parentheses. Open and close parentheses. That is normal brackets. No, no space. No space. Together. Together. Remove the space. Good. Enter.
I've removed the space.
Enter. I don't understand what is going on, but okay. From what I can see, you are making use of a laptop, right?
Yes.
Please share your entire screen. I want to guide you through another process of doing this without going through this particular terminal. Do you understand? Oh, wait. Before you do that, wait. Go to the left of your screen. That's to the extreme end, to that sidebar. Take your mouse to the
This side.
sidebar, not right, left. To your left. Go up.
Yeah.
Go up. To the left, yes. No, come down. Near your terminal, around the terminal area, come down. Come down.
Yeah, I'm there.
Be coming down. I can see your mouse. Be coming down.
Yeah.
Go down again. Go to the next icon. Go to the next icon. The next one. Click on that icon. No, up.
Up.
Yes, this one. Click on that one now. Good. This is your this is your terminal for your PyCharm interface. Now go ahead. I can see you wrote your code in main.py. Go ahead and type Python. Be typing as I'm talking. Python. Space. Main.py. main.py. Click enter. Just give it a minute. So you actually understood the class. Everything is printing well. Maybe you were a bit confused on running your project earlier, I guess.
Yeah, because I was that when I clicked on that printing place, that red box was showing me, so I was not seeing whatever I was printing. So I didn't.
Okay, now if you want to print what you are doing, instead of clicking on that run button on the top of your screen, just make use of this terminal. Type in Python main.py to go ahead and run your code. For example, if you want to run your class.py, any code in your class.py, what you are going to type is Python class.py. Do you understand?
Okay.
So that's how it's done.
So that's all.
That's all. That's the only problem you're having. You're running the program wrongly.
All right. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. You can stop sharing your screen. So while we were attending to that, Lothar typed something on the chat about Messi. You are having problems sharing your screen. Okay, are you on this class now, Messi? Okay, Messi Akpan you joined. You are the first person in this class.
I think she's still here. From the form she filled, I forgot to reach out to her. She said she joins the class with her phone while practicing with her laptop. So she finds it difficult to share her screen so that you can review her work. I think that was what she wrote on the form, but I couldn't follow up to know whether she has fixed that now. Fixed it now. I don't know.
Okay.
Mm.
I don't know, Lothar. Is there a way you can share? You can like turn on your video on your mobile phone and then make use of your back camera. Is that even possible?
Okay. Turn on my video and make use of my back camera.
Are you using mobile? You use phone now?
Yes, I'm using phone now.
Okay, try doing that. Let's know if it's possible.
Okay. Yes, there's a button there. That place you have that arrow close to the speaker. It's very possible.
Okay, no problem. Okay, thank you, boss.
Mm.
Mercy, you raised your hand. Do you have a question?
Sir, I don't know. I don't know. I think there's a way I can log in to Gmail on my laptop, and then I would be joining the class from there. But it's really difficult doing it with.
Exactly,
Yes,
you can join with us. Yeah, you can actually, but on the call, just create a different tab. Very possible.
yes, it's possible. But when I asked Lothar to try using his video and make use of his back camera, if you want to share your screen, maybe you have a question, you can go ahead and while using your phone, switch your video camera on, then use your back camera and video your screen.
Okay.
So I think that is very possible to do.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So I think is there any other question from our previous class before we proceed into what we have for today? Any other question? Okay. Without any other question, let's proceed into let's continue our project from the last class. Today, what you are going to be doing basically is, okay, in the last class, we were able to create a simple login form where you can log into your app from. But then what you are trying to do today is using that our login form, how to I'll be teaching you how to create a super user account. That is mostly an admin account. And then we'll try using our admin account to log into the form we created in the last class. Please, if you have any question from the last class, you can ask your question now. So we'll make sure everybody is being carried along. Okay. Without any question, I think we have to proceed. Let me share the link to let me share my terminal so you guys can see what I'm doing. So give me a minute. So I believe everybody can see my terminal now, right? So currently I'm running our project from the last class. Like that is our authentication platform. This is what I'm currently running right now. So in the last class, we were able to create this authentication page. That is this login page. It's still at its simple state, but then we'll get to styling it later. But before then, let's make sure that our login system is working properly as it should. And to do that, let's create an admin account. That is, let's use our command line interface to create an account. First things first, let me stop the project from running. Then to create our super user account, that is our admin account, the first thing we have to do is we say Python manage.py, which is like your your main file for running your project. If you are making use of a framework like Flask, like Python framework like Flask, instead of manage.py, your main thing there will be app.py, like app.py. That would be your root app. Your root file. Sorry. So in this case, we say Python manage.py create. This is okay. Python manage.py creates super user. This is, we are just basically trying to tell Python that we are trying to create a user, but this time it's not any kind of user. We are trying to create an admin account. That is a user that can access most of the things on the platform, both the admin page and the rest. And then when we click enter here, then it will tell us to input our username, which in this case I'll use administration. I just hope I spelled this correctly, and click enter. Then I'll use, let me say, I'll use something like, what will I use for this email? Okay, let me use admin at what am I gonna use? Admin at admin.com. That is our email account. Click enter. Password, for my password, I'm going to use 123. It's 1234, sorry. It's not going to show on my screen as I'm typing 1234 because it's password. Password is basically secret. For example, I'm currently typing 1234. As you can see, nothing is showing on my screen. If I click enter, it's time to enter password again. That is to confirm the password I just entered. I will now go again 1 2 3 4 and click enter. It will not tell me that the password is too short. It must contain at least 8 characters. This is the basic, password setup. But then, due to I'm creating admin from the terminal, and I'm kind of an administrator on the platform. I will now go ahead and click one. That is tell it yes. Go ahead and create my account. Forget all the necessary things I need to do for the password. Just go ahead and create my account with my password like that. But if you don't want to do that, you can select N. But me, I want to go ahead and do that. Yes stands for yes, Y stands for yes, and N stands for no. When you click enter, super user created successfully. So let me run our project again. To run our project, all you have to do is Python manage.py run server. So for those that were okay, I believe everybody, nobody will have problem running a server on their system. Python manage.py run server, click enter. So let me go ahead and share the screen of our login system. So when I come to this page now and refresh, so I have refreshed this page. What I have to do now is here, enter our list. Due to its case sensitive, so I will not go and use administration with capital letter A. It's going to fail. Wait, let's try it. And then my password, which is 1 2 3 4. If I click enter, as you can see, it failed. The only reason we are seeing this error in this manner is because I did not set a fallback for situation where the password is wrong, where the user details are wrong. We've not set a fallback for that, but we'll get to that. So, but it failed because we are using capital letter A when we should be using small letter A. Due to that, both the username and password are both case sensitive. So we are using normal administration, which is what we used in creating our account earlier, and then we type our password 1 2 3 4 and click enter. If everything works, it should redirect us to this our home page. So how are we going to be sure that we are logged in successfully, that we are not being delusional about our login and the rest of its stuff? So the first thing we have to do, we have to add some conditional statements here, like we are now going to go ahead and add some conditional statements telling our code that for situations whereby user is logged in, if a user is logged in, display so and so information. Let me go ahead and add those conditions. I'm going to be using Python if user is authenticated, filter. How do I do that? I'll go ahead and open my curly bracelet, add the percentage, add percentage symbol, open curly, add percentage symbol, and then within this within this filter, I will now write if, then space, if user. We are telling Python that if user is authenticated, in our case, if user dot is underscore authenticated, that is to say, if user is logged in, this authenticated is wrong. If user dot is authenticated, yes. We are telling Python if user is logged in, we have to, let's print some statements to show that a particular user is logged in. If user is logged in, let's use P. Let's use a P tag. If user is logged in, display this information. For example, user.email. So what we are basically telling Python here is if this particular user is logged in, display their email, that is user.email. And then let's also display the username of that particular user. User.username. With these details are the primary details we are asking from. Okay, don't worry, we'll get to that. We'll get to account creation. But before that, this place is showing this underlined red error because we opened an if statement without closing it. That is, to close an if statement, all we have to do is open our curly bracelets again, put our percentage, another percentage, and then close our curly bracelet, and then just type in end if. This is a Python if else filter in HTML. So, but then we want to do one more. Okay, we'll do that after writing our login code. Sorry, our logout. But before then, let's do this. Okay, we now say okay, this particular login, this button for login that we built in our last class, let's do something. Let's put it in our else statement, else. We are now going to say else in situation where user is not logged in. What are we going to do? If user is not logged in, go ahead and print this login. Go ahead and show them this login button. So if we now go to our page, this login button should no longer be there because we are logged in. But instead of showing us this login button, it will now go ahead and show us our user email and our username. Let me share my screen and refresh to make sure everything is working as it should. So if I now go ahead and refresh this page, this login, this thing will leave this place. It will leave, sorry, excuse me. This login button we added in our last class here will leave here. But instead, what we are now going to see is our username and password. Let's refresh the page to make sure it's working properly as it should. So as you can see, what we have here is admin@admin.com and administration, which is our username, showing that we are successfully logged in. But one more thing, as this is, let's say we are trying to build an authentication system for a platform, we must have a way for users to log out, right? That is to say, every user that logs in a platform, they have to be able to log out. So the next thing we are going to build is a logout system. So when user clicks it, they will be able to leave the platform without any issues. So to do that, let's go ahead and let me go ahead and share my PyCharm screen again. We are going to be building a logout function in our views. Please, can everybody see my views page? That is, I hope you guys can see this page. Okay, good. So the first things we have to do, the first thing we have to do is to import Python default logout code. That is the default logout system for Python, because we are trying to customize it. You have to first import what we are trying to customize. So to do that, we go ahead to this from django.contrib.auth import login. After importing login, we put a comma and then import log out. So after importing our logout, the next thing we have to do is to write our logout views. So that is our logout functions. So best practice says that you should leave after every function, you should leave at least one line space before the next function. So that is what I'm doing. If I do this, if I start writing my next function here, my project is not going to fail, but it's just best practice. So like to avoid any, like maybe you are trying to locate a particular function, you know how to look for it within your project, but that one aside. So we are going to name our function like, okay, we named this one login request. We are going to name this one logout view. So let's define our function. Define space log out underscore view. So after naming our function, the next thing we have to do is open and close parentheses and then type our request. Sorry. Go ahead and type our request and then close this with a semicolon. This semicolons officially declares this particular function a function in Django views. Not just Django views, in Python views. This is to tell, once you put this this semicolon, like I said earlier, you are not trying to tell Python that every other thing within here, every other thing in this place is under this particular function, even if it's not a function. But okay, for example, in this statement, we are using if, but after this if, we are telling Python that every other thing here, every other thing inside this definition is under this particular if statement until this else. If you notice in this particular else, we remove the else. Instead of putting the else, if we do this, what we are trying to do, we are putting this else inside this if statement. But by removing this particular tab space, now we are telling them that this is where this else statement ends. This one now is another function on its own. Everything under this one, everything under this our else statement, and is on everything within this, every other thing defined in a tab after this our else statement is under the else. Like is the else how like else statements and functions, what you do in situation where is not an if statement. But in some conditions, you might see some codes where some people will not define this else statement. I'm trying to explain something. I will put this back. Instead of defining this else statement, after writing the conditions in their if, the next thing they will do is go ahead. This return render, they will just remove it from the else statement. But with doing that, you have to define a context. They will also bring that this officially makes this dictionary and then this our render page to be outside this if statement. So sorry, let me put this back here. So what you are basically trying to do is that after this semicolon, we click enter. We are trying to write the functions within our if. We are telling Python that everything under this particular definition is inside if statement. If it's outside it, it's not part of what we want to do. So to do that, we do logout. Okay, it's already hinting me to do that. Logout request. Logout request. Then we go ahead and do. We write messages. We imported messages here earlier. That is to display messages. Though we are not currently displaying messages, but we'll get to that. Messages.info. That is in our last class. I told you guys they have different types of messages. We have messages.info, messages.error, and messages.success. So messages.info request, you've been logged out successfully. And then after logging out, we have to redirect user to the login to tell them log out. We are directing them to log into home. Instead, where is our account page? Okay, this is our account. Instead, I want to redirect users back to this login page. So instead of redirecting them to home, we are redirecting them back to our login page. And then the next thing we have to do is to write the URL. So the URL code, that is the path to our login view. To write the path, just like before, all we have to do is open our open our urls.py page, click enter where we already have our login. Make sure there is a comma here. Go ahead and click, then add another part. Open and close your parentheses in this manner. Log out slash, then you put a comma, and then we are using these particular views. I believe everyone remembers how I explained this from .views import asterisk in our last class, and why we are not making use of this particular from dot import views. I believe those in our last class knows why. So we now go ahead and do from log out, then we call our function, which is log out view. I think that's the name of our function, log out underscore view, log out view, then comma, we go ahead and name this log. Sorry, not this way. You have to use name. Name equals open, close, logout. So officially, what we basically did here is creating our logout authentication system. So if we can, in our HTML page, if we can reference this particular URL, what is basically going to do is it will log out our request, it will log out our section, and then display this message for us if we write the message display correctly, and then tell us that and then redirect us to our login page. So let's add a button for logout to our page, to our home page. To do that, all we have to do, we already said if user.authenticated, that is if user is logged in, display user.email, which is the same thing as saying print user.email, but this time around we are using HTML. So another thing we want to add here is our logout button. So we use a tag, we use a tag as usual. We use a tag, then we name this, we say log out. Then the next thing we have to do is put our link to our logout page. Like the same way we use this link here, all we have to do is define our href, which is used for calling a new link. This href, if we want to redirect our page to facebook.com, all we have to do in this case after typing href is in this equals place, we say you can use https, then use your link www.facebook.com, but that's not what we are doing here. So in our href page, what you are trying to do is if user clicks on this logout button, we want to redirect them to this URL, which will point them to carry out this particular function. That is this function we defined in views. That is what you are trying to do. So to do that, all we have to do is go ahead and do open and close your curly bracelets as usual, then put this percentage mark in it. Then go ahead and type your URL, and then log out. So when we go ahead and refresh our page, we are now going to see another button within our project. The button now will be a log. We now write log out. But due to we are logged in, we are not going to see this particular button. But let's log out and see what happens when we return to this page. Sharing my screen. I'm going to be sharing the screen of our project now. So this page currently shows that we are logged in. So I refreshed, and as you can see, after refreshing, it added this button for us, this logout button. So when I go ahead and click this logout, it redirects us to our login page. But to confirm that we logged out successfully, let me go back to our home page. Sorry, /home. Sorry. Okay, let me go back to our home page. Okay. Now that we are at our home page, as you can see, all those other informations are no longer being displayed. Why? Because we are no longer logged into the page. We are officially logged out. That's why all we are seeing is the login button. That's why all we are seeing is this login button being displayed here. So there is, okay, before we get to that, there is one more thing we have to do before going ahead to before going ahead to style our page to make it appear beautiful and the rest, and that is to build our registration system. That is, it's not everybody that wants to log into our platform that will be coming to our terminal, that is our command line interface, to go ahead and be creating a super user account. What if it's a normal user that is planning to make use of our website? You build a site and a normal user wants to log into your site. What are they going to do? Because with our system now, there is no way a normal user can currently log in without you can currently create accounts without you building that function, writing the functions, URLs, and giving them the necessary tools for them to create their accounts. So that is what we are going to be doing next. But before we get to that, is there any question so far? If you have any questions so far from logout or account login, please go ahead and ask your question now. Any question? So with that being said, let's proceed to our registration page. That is for users to be able to create an account. So for registration, let me write the function above our login request, because a user has to be registered before they log in, but it's not a must, it's not compulsory you have to follow this process, but by default, that's how I've programmed my mind to handle things. You can, okay, let me break this first. Please, you have a question? Okay, I guess you're just joining the class now.
Good evening, sir.
So, good evening. Is there any question?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay, no problem. So let's go ahead and build our function for registration. That is for users to be able to create their account on their own without having to go through our terminal, because they can't even access our terminal. Even if they want to, they can't, unless let's leave that particular unless aside. So first things, we have to define our registration function by saying define register. As usual, request, you include your colon and enter. So we are going to be submitting a post request from the HTML. All we have to do is say if request.method is post, that is, if request.method is equals post. Now equals post stand for request dot is post. So to do that, you say if request dot method is post, then our colon, to tell Python that we are still within this if statement. Go ahead and do. When we created our form, we had this class within our form. The form is custom user creation form, where we called the user creation form from Django config.auth.forms. So for this Django user creation form, that is what we are going to be making use of now. But here we defined our fields. The fields we want to be saving to our models, which is username for one, email, password 1 and password 2. The password 1 is we are going to make sure that these two passwords align together. So users, we make sure that users remembers their password, that are not just trying to type random stuff and submit. So with that being said, we now go ahead and say form, that is the form we are going to use. It's not a must we use form, but in our class we are going to use form. There are other methods you can use. For example, there is a method that you can say username equals request.post.username. That you are trying to say that username, for the username field, go ahead and fetch the post request of the username field. That is, let's say we have, I'm using this HTML for example. Let's say we have an input. Let's say we have an input named input, and the name of our input is something like that. That's when the name of our input is something like, okay, we are using username. What we are basically trying to do is we are telling Python that for any post request that the name is username, define it here. Wait, where is our views? Okay, yeah. That is what we want you to fetch and save within this username variable. But this is not the method we are going to be using. This method is kind of a bit complex and not easy to use in that manner. So we are going to be using the simple form that we just created. That is the default form equals custom user creation form. That is the user creation form we created in our form tab. Okay. Request.post. The next thing is we have to check if our form is valid. To check if form is valid, what I'm going to do, if form dot is underscore valid, that is, they are basically trying to tell Python, check this form. Okay, fetch this form. If user must have filled out this post request, check if they filled all their forms correctly, and check if it's valid. If it's valid, that is, if everything in the form is presented correctly as it should be, then we are going to tell Python what to do in situation where the form is correct. So what are we going to do? We just say, okay, open and close parentheses, and then add our add our colon. So we are saying if form is valid, go ahead. So if form is valid, what I'm just going to do is go ahead and save this particular user. To save user, we say user equals form dot save. So we are just basically trying to say if the form that user submitted is accurate, if this form is valid and is correct, go ahead and save that form as user. But at this point, we've not defined user. So Python is still a bit confused what we are going to be doing with this particular user. So what we are going to do in this instance, we say we are not going to do after user is logged in. That is, after user must have created, after we must have saved this user. What we are now going to do next is we say login. That's, we are telling Python, this user have created their account. Now go ahead and log them in. That is what we are trying to do with this user. So to do that, request, comma, user. Then we print our usual messages. Though we come to displaying these messages, because currently our code does not display messages, but we get to that. All right. Messages. Okay. Messages.success. Okay, I think we're going to use. Let me change something. Let me use something else. Let me use our formatted string method like we used during when we handled variables. So we are now going to say, for this message, we are going to say f, then we open our listen, and we are going to say welcome, using our formatted string method, welcome. And we open and close our curly bracelets and say user dot username. That's what you are trying to say. For any username the user is making use of, go ahead and say welcome user.username, and after that, after we say welcome user.username, go ahead and do one more thing. Welcome user.username, your account was created successfully. I think that's correct. Your account, sorry, your account was created successfully. So this is basically trying to tell Python, in situation where user details is correct, go ahead and print welcome user.username. Then this user.username, it will replace it with, it will fetch the username the user used while creating their account. Your account was created successfully. So one more thing we have to do, we have to write a condition where if form is not valid, as like in situation where this form is wrong or user is okay. Let's just say, say something like else okay. So in situation where this form is not okay, we are not going to say invalid username or password because this is not a login. Then this, instead we are going to tell user there was an error with your registration, sorry, with your registration form. Please try again. That is to say, I'm basically trying to tell user in situation where this form is invalid, that is the form user is submitting is invalid, print this message for them. There was an error with your registration. Please try again. So this if statement is for a user that have finished filling the form. So we have to do one more thing. What of a user that is just opening the page, that have not filled any form yet? That's where this particular else statement comes in. That is where this else statement is for this particular if. This other if here, where request.method is post. Where we are not telling user basically is if our request.method is not post, in case user is using another kind of request that is not post, what we just want you to do, instead of displaying an error, go ahead and say, instead of displaying an error or failing the request, go ahead and do something like this. Else, we'll now fetch our form, in our case, form equals custom user creation form. Then we render our user registration HTML page. This is where we render our HTML page. And to sorry, my brain is trying to misbehave. So, and to do that, we just do something very simple. We just say, instead of defining context, we go outside this else statement. After fetching our form user creation form, our user creation form, we now do something like return. That is outside this else statement. That is, we first of all, when the post is not form situation, sorry, when the request method is not post, the first what we just want to do is fetch our form, then go ahead and return, and then render our HTML page. Render request. So I'm not seeing what I'm typing. This stupid hint is trying to block my way. Request, comma. What is our name? What is the name of our account? Request. Then let's render our template. Request account slash register dot html, comma, sorry, just comma, not remove the full stop. So we now go ahead and call our form. That is our forms that we fetched at this else statement. We call it. But then this mark now is underlining this register for us, because within our accounts currently there is no register.html page. We are going to go ahead and create our register.html page. To do that, we do something like this. We inside this our account, the same folder where our login.html is, we create a new file, a new HTML file, not a new Python file, named register.html, and click enter. So for this to work properly, let me do small challenge, small something. Let me just add a small, sorry, in the body of our project. Let me add a simple h1 tag. H3. Let me use H3 because H1 I feel is too large. See small tech course. So let's just use this for the name of the page. That is, we'll get to that. Tech track course. This is just our HTML page for now, what it looks like currently. So what is the next thing we have to do? We come to our home page. This place we say if user is authenticated, else login logout. The next, okay, before that, let's create URL. Before adding register here, let's go ahead and create URL for for the views we just created now. In the same file where you have your login and logout, where we have our login and logout, we go ahead and do something like this. Part, sorry, I just want to join part, then we say register. So we defined our register as register. So that is how we define our function. So we just call our function and then name it. We use the same thing for name. Sorry, name equals register. So basically that is it. Then in our HTML page, okay, let me add a comma here. The comma basically like is when the comma is just for maybe when we are trying to add the next URL, we are not going to be struggling, running helter skelter to try and to our code will not fail while we are trying to add another part. So that's basically what it stands for. So that one aside, so to this our else statement, we are going to add one more button. That is in a situation where user is not authenticated, where user is not logged in. We want to add another but option here, login and then register. Okay, yes. Let's use a tag once more. A, then we say href equals sorry. So with that, the next thing we have to do is URL register. So let's name our button because currently there is no name there if we run our code. Though this button is there, but it will not show anything as the name. There's no text being displayed. So we're going to say create account. So create account. Let me go ahead and run this code. So if I go ahead and run this our code without logging in, it's going to add another button above this our login button already. So it's not add it above, but let me show you guys how to force it into being like above, like so. To force it into being above, we just use something called line break. Line break is simply BR. This is a simple line break. This should work properly. So let's go ahead and refresh our page. As you can see, our line break divided these two lines. Like put this line within the. If we add another line break there, you see this login now will leave another space and come and stay somewhere around here. But that one aside, when we click on create accounts now, it will redirect us to our registration page, which currently we have nothing on it. The only thing we have on our registration page is this write-up we have, Sysmo Tech Track course. That is the only thing we currently have on our registration page. So the next thing we have to do is to add some write-up to our registration page. That is some forms to our registration page. So our register page, please, if you have a question, you can just turn on your mic and ask your questions, because as you can see, I'm within my PyCharm project, so I will not be always online to notice when someone is raising their hands. So please make sure you can just do this thing. You can just go ahead and turn off your mic. Sorry, turn on your mic and ask your questions. So the next thing we have to do is create our form tag like we did with the login form tag and click enter. So within this our form tag, we are going to be adding everything we actually need. That is both the username, the email, and then the two passwords. That is password one and confirm password. To do that, first we add label. Let's put our label inside. Okay, first, before we start adding label, let's add our CSRF token. So you do something like this, open your curly bracelet, close it, then add our CSRF underscore token. So we want to add something, we want to add an error message for errors that are not related to fields. That is, errors that are not related to users filling a form. Maybe every form is correct, but there is an error. We want to add a particular error message for that form in case the form submission fails. We need users to know why the submission failed. And to do that, we do this. We open double curly bracelets and close and say form. This is all you have to do. Form dot non field errors. These errors you just display above your forms for errors that are not related to the contents of the page of the errors that are not related to our HTML fields. So let's create the first div, our first div tag, div, like our first div tag for our registration page. Then within our div tag, we add the first field, the first tag, which is the label. We add our first label within our first div for the registration page, which is going to be username. But first, let's close this and then user name. Sorry, name, not name. So all you have to do in this case is form dot user name. We are basically trying to tell Python for this particular label, just put the input form for their username. So we now put an error for situation where the username is the cause of the error we are facing. To put that error, all we have to do is we say form dot username dot form dot username dot errors. This form, this field now, what is going to display is for any field, like if our username is missing something, we should just print that error, that particular stuff we are missing as a red input, as a red message, that is an error message. So onto the next div is our email. Onto the next div is our email. So we first put our label as usual. Sorry, it's a tag, not just label. Right up. First put our label tag. Sorry. Email. Then we now do something like form dot, sorry, not comma, dot email, and then we'll put error for email. That's a situation where the email input is wrong. You put error, something like form dot email dot errors. I hope everybody is following, or is anybody confused so far? If there is anything that you don't understand, please, you can ask your questions. Okay. With that being said, so the next bit now is our first password input. That is the normal password input. That is what this div will be handling. This is our div tag. So label. Sorry, label is a tag, not just our regular label. Label. Passwords. Then enter. Form dot password. Form dot password 1. So we'll now say something like this. Form dot password 1 dot errors. Then the next field is for confirmation of password, to make sure that users is not just like that users will remember their password, that they're not just getting password anyhow and a password that they can remember. We have to use this password too. We have to add this confirm password label. Confirm password. So which is form dot password 2. Form dot password 2. So we now also put the errors for password 2. Form dot password 2 dot errors. So the next is for our button. Our button to submit our code. Sorry, to submit our form, which is our simple submit button. The same kind of button the same button type we are using in our form. Sorry, in our login form. Button. It's accounts. We now set the button type to submit. So basically what we just did is we created this form. In this form, the first thing we have to do is create our CRSF token. That is the token that will be used in submission of our form to make sure that like this is not a bot submission or anything. And then we add our non-field errors to this. Any question? You have a question? So we added our non-field errors to display errors that are not related to the fields we are about to fill. That is both the username, email, password 1 and password 2. And then we went ahead to define our forms and then adding an error input in situations where maybe username already exists or anything. It will display it directly under the input form. So let's go ahead and refresh our registration page now. You will be able to see all these forms. So let's make sure everything is working as it should. So to do that, let me share my screen. So when we go ahead and refresh this page, you should be able to see all this. Okay, as you can see, you
No,
now
sir.
have
No, sir.
ask your question. Please ask your question. Can you hear me, please? Favor, are you still here? Are you still here? Favor.
I'm hearing you, sir.
Okay, no problem. You can mute your mic. Okay, good. So as you can see, all the input forms we created just now, they can all display now. So to test this, we have to test this and make sure it's working properly first. Let me try using a username we've used earlier, email. Which email am I to use now? Let me see. Okay. Um, password. In this situation, if we use password for 1234, it's not going to work in this situation. So we are going to use proper and standard password. Let me use something like, what am I going to use now? Okay. Why this why this creation might fail is because of this administration, because by default we are using username to log in. So that means this username field is unique, meaning that two people cannot use the same username. So if we create this particular, if I go ahead and click this create account, this project might fail. It's have to fail. It will not save properly because of this administration, which is already existing. So as you can see, just refresh the page, meaning that the details we input already exist. So let me use another detail here. Let me say something like Emma, and then create our account. Something is still wrong. Name. Okay, I think there is something we missed earlier. Let's check our redirection and make sure it's working properly. Assigned. So Python is having problems submitting our registration form. So I think the best thing is to find a way around that. So in my terminal, let me share my terminal and show you guys something. My terminal is showing me something like to tell me that the project is running successfully. So for my terminal, I'm seeing these messages. These messages is trying to tell me that everything is working correctly as it should, but something is just wrong. Which might, okay, let me do something else to be sure that we are not trying to overlap at any instance. If this works, I think I will know the issue. So there's another image here. Sean 5 at gmail.com. So let me try something first. My project is still refreshing. I don't know why. I don't know if network is bad. This way is refreshing this end. Can you guys send me? Let me be sure that my network is still active. Okay, good. This is taking time to reload. I don't know if it's poor. It's not poor network. So that's why I'm trying to figure out why. So let's check our admin page. By default, after creating your project, Python creates for you this particular URL. Let me share my page. When after creating your project, in your default URL, there is this particular URL Python always creates for you. That is this admin URL. That is by default. That is Python creating for you the default URL for your admin. But the first thing we have to do, let's register our custom user. That is, let's register this our user model to our admin.py. That is, in this admin.py, let's do some changes so we can check everything and know if we are having any issues with our account creation. So we say to do that, we already imported admin from django.contrib import admin. We already imported admin from here. So the next thing we are going to import here is user admin. To do that, we say from django.contrib.auth, django.contrib.aut. Import user admin. Sorry, there is one thing missing here. This comma is a dot, and then after this AUT, you put another dot and import admin. So this is it. And then from our models, from dot models, let's import our user. Import the user model, that is our user. Oh, sorry, it's double imports. So we have successfully imported our user. The next thing is to register this. So we say admin dot site dot register, in brackets user, that is our user from models, comma user admin. So we've successfully registered our user models to our admin. So to open our admin page, all you have to do is go to your URL, that is that 127.0.0.1:8000. You now put slash and then this admin. Let me do that so you guys can see. So this is, and let me refresh this page to remove all these messages. This is our users. That is this model we just added now. This is that models. When you click on that, it will display all the users existing on our platform. For my case, I created an admin, just normal admin user earlier, and then this administration one I created during the class. So this is basically trying to tell us that our registration page is having an issue. That is our account registration page is having an issue. Let me try and locate where the main issue is coming from, which I believe the issue is basically from trying to save our project. So models, username, email, Let's check our models. From the look of things, everything appears correctly. So I think we might have to add a message to know why our registration is not working as it should. So views. Okay. Let's add a message that is messages to our account creation page. Hopefully, with that message, to be able to display any message, like all the any error message or anything on our page. To do that, all you have to do is let's add it in this body. Do something like, sorry, if space messages, if messages, enter tab for, okay, sorry, we'll do something like this. For message, that is for every message in messages. So for message in messages, for message in messages, let's use a simple div for this, which is going to look like this. Tab, sorry, div, message. Then we close our for and filter and for, and then sorry, and if. So let's go ahead and try creating our accounts again. So with these changes, I believe that if we have any messages or any failure, it should display the messages for us. Let me first log out. Refresh this page. So we'll do something like this. Kings Plaza. Nigeria. Com. Mustard, it's and then create accounts. Our page is still having issues trying to redirect us to our home page. So By the way, is there any other question? Is there any question so far? Or do you guys understand? Do you guys understand? Any
Yes, sir.
question?
But I have. Yeah, can you hear me do that?
Okay, ask your question.
My question is that place that we had the create account. I thought the instruction was submit instead of this create account.
Yes, the instruction is submit, but we named it create account. This is the name. Wait, let me show you guys. Let me present it. So the function, the type of this button is submit, but the name of the button is create account. That this does not mean we cannot go ahead and name this button something like next. We can name this button anything we want, but whatever we name this button, okay, wait, I just found the cause of our problem. We are trying to submit another kind of form, and in our views, we use the simple if statement. We are telling Python if request method is if request method is post, go ahead and carry out these functions. But in situation where the method is not post, just fetch our form and redirect us back to our page. And we did not specify the type of form we are trying to submit, which in our case is a post form. So that is what we've been missing. That is why this form is not submitting. And I just sense that from trying to answer this question, it just came to my mind. So to solve that particular question, all we have to do is add to this our opening form tag. We add something very simple. We add a method equals post. This is all we've been missing. This is all. This is the reason we've been having problems submitting. My leg. This is why we've been having problems submitting our form. So we can go ahead and name our button anything we want, as long as the type is submit. There are other types of button. For example, let me show you guys. Type equals, okay, we have button, but submit is one type, button is another type, and then reset is another type of button. These are the three basic type of buttons we have. That doesn't mean that button will not serve other functions. Buttons can serve other functions aside from submitting it. Let me show you guys. Outside this form, we can just add another button that its function, instead of being a submit button or any kind of button, any of those three type of button, we can use something like on click. We can do something like let me know, maybe I don't have it off heart, but I'm trying to remember it. But you know what? I will comment this particular thing out now. I think it's H, and I've forgotten the full part, but I will read up on that and talk about it in our next class. But that one aside, let me comment this out. Let me remove it entirely. Please, someone should remind me about this other type of button in our next class. But that one aside, you can go ahead and name this, but let me go ahead and change the name to next. So let me share the page again and try filling out those forms again. So as you can see, when I now go ahead and refresh this page, this button's name will not be next, but that does not stop the primary role of this button from being submit. So filling out these forms again, let me use administration, which is already existing, the first one we used. Then So as you can see, there was an error with your registration form. Please try again. Then it now goes ahead to tell us the error. A user with this username already exists. This is to say we've already passed the error we're facing in the last stage, which was submitting a wrong method. So we now go ahead and change this. Let's use Chidubem, which is my name actually. Chidubem. It's 9 dash. When we submit this form, welcome Chidubem, your account was created successfully. So this is to say our account has been successfully created, but then let me refresh this page. So the redirect, we did not add a proper redirection to that. We just said login. But if we wanted it to redirect us back to our homepage, we would have added that redirect. Let's just add it and see for ourselves what I'm talking about. So the problem with why we are not being redirected is we did not add any redirection function here. To do that, what we have to do is let's just copy our redirect message here. That is this return redirect to home. So let's just copy it and paste it here. Sorry. So now once we create our account, instead of just printing this message, it will redirect us to home. But one thing we have to do is let's add our messages to this home page. So while we are at home page, we can still see our messages. To do that, we copy the messages we created in our registration page, Control C. And then paste it into our home page. So let me go ahead and log out and try creating another account. But first things first, I told you guys about accessing our admin page. But now that I'm logged in as a normal user, let me try accessing that admin page to see what happens. So trying to access that /admin part. So as you can see, you are authenticated as Chidubem, but not authorized to access this page. Would you like to log in as a different account? When I now input our normal admin page, that is the super user account we created earlier, I can comfortably access the admin page, but that's not what we are trying to do here. Let me log out in this case. Let me try logging out here. Yes, then click our logout. Okay, we've logged out successfully. Let's create another account. Bam. Email. For example. So when we submit our form, it should now redirect us to home page with welcome Bamba Sismo. Your account was created successfully. Now this is our username Bamba Sismo, and then our email. Any question? Any questions? Is there any part of this class you guys don't understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right.
Which part?
There is a particular page you opened that is having blue and black font. I don't know what is the difference between that one and this one that I'm seeing on my screen now.
Okay, what the one you are seeing on your screen now is our normal home page. Let me share something. Let me share this, sorry, a window. So that particular page you are seeing on your screen is this page 127. Hope you can see what I'm typing. Favor .0.0.1.
Yes, sir, I'm seeing it.
Okay, 8,000/admin. This is what you are seeing on my page. Then this is the blue, and that is the custom that is the Django custom admin page. We could not log in at that time because we were logged in as a different user. If we were using that account we created in our terminal, that is not super user account, we would have accessed that blue and white, or blue and black page without any issues. But it kicked us out to that login page. So that's the difference. That one is the admin page. Though you can write your own your own custom admin for any project you are working on. Do you understand? But then the current page you are seeing on my page is this page /home, which in my URL is like this. This is the page you are currently seeing that is not styled, this particular page. But that other page is this one, /admin and /home. That's the difference. Do you understand? Or should I still explain?
Now I get it.
Eh?
I get it. I get it now.
Okay, good. So that is it for Django authentication. Then in our next class, what we are now trying to do is you are not going to leave. Maybe if you are working on a project, you are not going to leave it like this for a user to just come and access the page like this. The next thing you have to do is learn how to style the page to make it look nice and like make it look beautiful for a user to be able to access it comfortably, and it will appear like it will be beautiful in their eyes. So the next page in our next class, we are going to try styling this page. So we are just basically trying to style the page, make it look more beautiful and look like the normal authentication and login page you usually see when you want to log into a website. That's what we are going to be doing in our next class. You guys understand? Any question? Any question, please?
Yes, I still have one more question. I still have one more question.
Okay, ask your question.
All right, for the password, that the creation of the account, the
Yes.
email and the username, that email that you were putting, must it be a correct email to that it will accept it immediately once it's created, or there was a setting you did that it can accept any email, whether correct or incorrect?
As far as you are using the correct email field, for now we are not trying to authenticate the email. Like you can just use something like 1284, which is not an actual email, at 7563.com. I don't know if you understand.
Yeah, I'm getting you.
You can make use of such emails, but it must be in an email format. In that email field, you cannot use a normal text field there. You have to use an email kind of input there for that particular field to work properly. Okay. So that is it. But in our next class, while styling our page, I'm going to show you guys something, the different types of inputs and why they work differently. So there are different types of inputs for these forms. But that is while styling it in our next class, I'm going to touch those aspects. Do you understand? Good. Favor, do you understand the class so far? Sorry, I say favor. Peace.
Yes, sir. I understood it, sir. But my question here is, I've
Okay.
asked you before, but you did not answer. I wanted to ask, this Django and Tony, is it the same thing?
And what?
Chonny, abi Tony?
Tony, Thorny, I think.
Yes, sorry.
Okay. I think Tony is another framework on its own, but it's I have to check that. I'm not enter. Tony should be an IDE. It should be an IDE like PyCharm. I don't know if you understand it.
Okay, so it's different from this one that we are doing.
Django is a framework. Do you understand?
Okay, a framework that
Django
you
is
use.
a framework that you use for building websites like web app using Python. But Tony, I think, is an IDE. That is like PyCharm.
Okay, I now understand because the laptop that I'm with, it has that on it, so I wanted to confirm if it's same, if I can use it.
Okay, Tony, no, you have to. What have you been following this Django class?
Yes, I've been following.
Okay. So Tony is like, okay, you spelled it correctly earlier. It's Chonny. Is a light. Tony is kind of a lightweight IDE, but PyCharm is more heavyweight than Tony. I don't know if you understand it.
Okay.
Tony is basically for all those projects we've been running earlier before we started this authentication system, like running like simple projects, running a single file project. But once you start working on something complex, you won't be able to use Tony. If you want to work on a complex project, you use something like PyCharm and then Visual Studio Code. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other question?
No question by me.
Okay. I think that will be all for this class. In our next class, we'll go ahead and be style our project to make it appear presentable and professional. You guys understand? Good. You guys can leave the class now. Good night. We'll see again on Tuesday.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, sir.
Okay, favor. Good night. Okay, good night.